Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I am going to continue the adventures of Sherlock Holmes, Chapter 1, Scandal in Bohemia. Last time we stopped here, so let's continue the part 2. I held it to the light and observed a large E with a small g, a P, and a large G with a small t woven into the paper. I came to the conclusion that the person who sent the note was rich. Sherlock agreed and added that GT is the German equivalent of CO. He took a big heavy book from his shelf and began scouring the pages until he reached Egria, a paper mill in Bohemia. The paper was made in Bohemia and the note was written by a German. The sentence formation is characteristically German, Sherlock deduced. At the very moment we heard the sound of horses, looked out of the window to find a carriage with two very fine horses, a nice little brougham, a pair of beauties, very expensive horses. There is a lot of money involved in this case, Watson, Sherlock commented. I think I should leave now, I told him, but he ordered me to stay while he spoke to the client. He asked me to sit down in the armchair and listen to all that the gentleman had to say attentively. The guest rang our bell and we urged him in. He was tall and a well-built man, dressed in clothes that seemed very expensive, but the England would not be looked upon as bad taste. Heavy bands of Astrakhan adorned his sleeves, and the front of his double-breasted coat, a deep blue cloak, was thrown across his shoulder, which was lined with flame-colored silk. The cloak was fastened at the neck with a studded brooch. He looked barbaric, and his appearance seemed to suggest he was some form of nobleman. His hat and mask gave him a sinister look. From the part of his face that was visible, he looked like a man of strong character and had determination which could sometimes change to obstinacy. He greeted us in a thick German accent. In a very harsh voice, he asked Sherlock whether he had received the note sent by him. He was not certain whom he should address and looked both of us one by one. Sherlock asked him to be seated and introduced me as his friend. Sherlock asked the man his name and he replied, "You may address me as Count von Karam. I am Bohemian nobleman. I hope your friend here can be trusted with a matter of extreme importance." The man cast a doubtful eye on me. Sherlock nodded and asked him to go on. The visitor explained that the matter involves the great house of Ormstein, hereditary kings of Bohemia. "I am aware of that," said Holmes. The visitor seemed shocked. "Now, if your Majesty would state his problems, I would be able to advise you," said Sherlock. The visitor jumped with surprise. He was silent for a few moments. "You're right, I'm the king," he proclaimed. "You can understand, I'm not used to doing business on my own, but the matter is so delicate that I want to consult you myself," the king explained. "Then consult your Majesty," said Holmes, shutting his eyes. The short story is about 5 years ago, during the lengthy visit to Warsaw. I met a well-known adventuress, Irene Adler. I assume you are familiar with the name. Sherlock asked me to find the name in his index for many years. He made a habit of collecting information about men and things. There was hardly any topic he couldn't furnish information on. I gave Sherlock her biography. Sherlock read her biography. She was born in New Jersey in the year 1858. She worked as an opera singer in Warsaw. After retiring from opera, she now lives in London. Then he nodded and humming addressed the king. I understand your majesty wrote her some letters and wishes to get those back, Sherlock said. Exactly, the king responded. Was there a secret marriage or any legal papers? So that's it for part 2, guys. I'll see you in part 3 of the chapter 1 of the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Bye.